Yo, what's going on? This is the NRW, where nerds rule the world. It's your boy, Kuya P, aka Patrick.strange, the Adobro, the Babinka boy, the leader of the Hala Hala homies in the Senna gang. And I'm back with another ShoPowSho for my people. Today, unfortunately, Viva Valentina is holding down the stuffy spa, bringing smiles to people's faces, restoring those plushy loved ones that we love, that gives us so much love and warmth when we have them. So we're going to miss Tina today. And of course, Kataphorric is still holding it down in Japan, teaching, giving love and light to the people over there. So our love to her. But I'm going to perform a magic trick today for y'all. I have our first magician on the ShoPowSho. I never thought I'd talk to a Filipino magician, so I'm super excited. I love magic, and the fact that this brother's Filipino, bro, we do magic, y'all. I'm so excited. Before I bring DreMagix in here, I'm gonna show you a little clip of him pulling flowers from an empty bag, and then I'll be back with DreMagix. So here we go right now from Magic's Merienda.
I have a magic trick for you all. Check it out. I brought a magic bag, ladies and gentlemen. This is a magic bag. What is it? Type it in the chat. Magic bag. I'll wait. Cool. As you can see, there is nothing in the bag. I just want to let everyone know there is nothing in the bag. All right. Think of your favorite color. I want you to just think of your favorite color. And inside the bag, I will reproduce your favorite color, which is it red? Is it red? No? Okay, hold on. You guys like flowers? There's a flower. No, I know it's quiet in the studio. There's two ways to do this trick, ladies and gentlemen. The first way is with applause. The second way is how you have been doing it. I'm gonna put this right here. All right. Color number 2. I know you guys, some of you guys don't like red. All right. Look, empty bag, empty bag. All right. Yellow? Some of you guys like yellow? Yes? How about more flowers? Oh my God, the bag is still empty. I don't know why I'm so angry at you guys. I love you all. I need somewhere to put this. I'll put this over here. I don't know why I'm screaming at the camera. You guys are amazing. Let's try it one more time. All right. Think of any color you want. Not red, not yellow. All right, obviously. What color, Josh? Oh my gosh. You know what? It was purple, but if you want blue, we'll do, look. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen. Is a box with some blue flowers, and then there you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
Boom, there you go. Andre Chavez, aka DreMagix. You see him on the screen. Thank you, sir, for coming through.
Yo, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. All the way over there on the left coast from the Beast Coast. I'm happy to see you. Thank you for giving your time, despite the time difference. Let's celebrate. I want to give you love and light, like I told you earlier, because that's what this is all about. And as I said a second ago, I can't believe I got a Filipino magician coming through. And you got the cards out. You already got the cards out.
Yeah, bro. I was listening to your nicknames. You have a lot of nicknames, bro. And I was thinking of I want my own nickname.
Hey, I'll think of one. What do you like it the most? What's your favorite Filipino dish?
You know what? Like, bro, when I was listening to nicknames, I was like, I want to be Megatron. You know what I'm talking about? Megatron.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah,
Megatron?
Yeah.
Andre the Megatron. I love it. Yes.
There it is. Yo.
I love food, man. And food is what brings us together as a people. It's how we show love. So that's why all the nicknames, because I was chowing down, brother. I was chowing down.
There it is.
So man, thank you for coming through. You got the cards out. Were you trying to show a little something before we get into it, or are we gonna get into this?
Nah, you know what, bro? It's this thing where I have to keep my hands busy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
so then maybe we close out with a little something.
It's so hard. Oh yeah, for sure. You know how it is being like Filipino in any industry. You gotta like just be the best to
Yes.
even get noticed. You know, so I'm like,
Real
I always
talk.
gotta practice. You know what I mean? I'm always fiddling with something and stuff like that. So
I love it. Real talk. Well, let's get into it, my friend. I'm so excited
yeah,
to have you on to learn what brought you to performing, getting into being a magician, man. So I like to start with first showing love and light to those that came before. Maybe was there magic with your aunties, uncles, your father, your, you know, where did it come from, or just anything? But just showing love and light to the sacrifice and to everything that came before. Can you tell us about them? Where are your and we also generally when I have the amazing aunties on, we start off with the question that we always get when we're out amongst everyone else: where are you from? No, but where are you really from? So kind of taking that, tell me where your parents are from. Take me back to maybe, you know, where generation Philippine wise. Let's start with them and give me some background on your family history,
yeah,
which took you here.
for sure. I am. My family's from the Philippines. Obviously, that's why I'm on the show, right? It's a Filipino show. But my family's from the Philippines. My dad is Ilocano, and my mom is Visaya. They met in Manila, and I was born in the Philippines. I was born in Quezon City. And
Awesome.
then when my mom was pregnant with my brother, we moved to the States. So I was about 3 years old, and I've been here ever since, you know, just grinding and hustling. Um, and in terms of magic, you know, I started magic when I was in college. So it's fairly late. Usually people start magic when they're younger, maybe like 5, 6. Started when I was 21. And
Okay, we'll get
you
to
know,
that
there are
point. Let's
cards
get to
always
that
around the
point
house.
first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Jumping
take you
ahead.
through your
Jumping ahead.
life.
Go
I'm gonna
ahead.
take you through your history. I'm
There
gonna
it
walk
is.
you through
Okay.
it.
Bet.
So tell me about the family. Tell me, do you know their love story? Maybe just something about the ancestors. You know what you know from them.
Yeah, so from what I know is my great grandmother is half Chinese. She was half Chinese, and my great grandpa, my lolo, he he was he's like a he was like not very well off. He didn't come from a good family. But my Lola, my great grandmother, she did because she was half Chinese in the Philippines, right? And usually, if you're part Chinese in the Philippines back in the day, you were mayaman, right? You were rich, you had money. Um, their parents didn't really agree to their marriage, so they picked everything up and they moved to the States, like where their kids. And Look, my whole mother's side of my family is now in the States, and my dad's side is still in the Philippines. And the way my mom and dad met, they met in school, they met in college, and my mother, I think she was dating one of my dad's friends, and my dad, I mean, something happened, and my dad ended up getting with my mom, and they lived there. They had me, and you know, the whole clan was in the Philippines until um, my great grandma and my great grandpa, my lola, my lolo, they just picked up. I think they had like 10 kids, and those kids had kids, and those kids had me. You know what I mean? So they picked up one, two, three. They picked up 4 generations of people, and we're like, we're gonna move to LA. We're gonna move to Carson and figure it out here because this is not what it's about right now.
Got you.
So
So I would
that's
assume
kind of what happened. It's
like
kind of how I
all of
ended up
us.
here.
Yeah, yeah. So I would assume like all of us for opportunity, right? You know,
Yeah.
better life in the States and everything. So
Mhm.
you moved at 3, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what would you tell me about
Yeah, I moved over
that
when
you
I
can
was
remember
3.
between give me growing up in LA between 3 and 10. What were you into
Yeah.
as a
So
young kid?
you know, we moved into a really bad neighborhood. We were like near Scottsdale. No, that's not it. It's in Carson, but we lived in the bad part of Carson in the 90s, right? And I remember playing outside and seeing like bullet shells on the floor. I didn't know there were bullet shells at the time, but now that I'm older, I'm like, yo, those were bullet shells when I was like 5 years old playing outside. But you know how it is growing up Filipino, right? You don't know that you have it bad until you get older.
Yeah.
And by that time, you can grow to appreciate what you did have, because when I was young, everything was just a good time. We were just being kids, and I'm really thankful that my parents could provide that level of ignorance for their children. You know what I mean? I don't think children are supposed to ever grow up that like, oh, we're poor. They're not supposed to know that you're poor. You know what I mean? And we weren't super poor. We had enough to survive. But just like those values of appreciating every time, every moment you get with your family. I really admire that I had that upbringing. And I had a bunch of cousins, and we lived down the street from each other, so it was always a good time. We were just hanging out, we were chilling, making our way through like school and stuff. But Carson in the 90s wasn't the safest place for children, for sure.
I feel you. All right, so I want to stay between ages 3 and 10 when you came over. So I would assume, as most of our hardworking Filipino parents are, they were always working, right? So you're kind of raised by your aunties, your uncles, or just the people in the neighborhood, if you will. What was that like? Yeah. Like you said, you didn't realize that those bullet shells were bullet shells. You were kind of blind to it all, right? Tell me about, growing up and in a different place. What were they telling you when they were home? And were they working 24/7, or did you get some family time with them? What was that like? Because we're growing, we're minors before we become, we get matured and we go to school. Because I want to then take us into school years. What was that like, and maybe differences of them adapting to growing up in the States and Philippines, the cultural differences?
Yeah. My parents were working a lot. We were taking care of like aunties and my lola, my mom's mom. And we kind of just thought it as, babysitter, right? Lola's coming over. She's coming to hang out. She's going to watch us. She's a babysitter while mom and dad go to work. You know what I mean? We never thought that. My parents made it a point to have family outings and have dinner with each other. And like, they made sure they woke us up so we can have breakfast together. Like, it was a very important value they instilled in us. Like, no matter how hard you work, we're spending time with each other. You know what I mean? And that kind of helped us. And we never missed our mom and dad, which is a good thing, I think. We never were like, they're never around, because we did always see them every day. We had dinner, we had breakfast together. And that kind of just actually now makes me think, like, you have to work twice as hard to provide that lifestyle for any child.
You're right.
You know what I mean? So, that's how it was.
Yeah. Would you say there's a beauty or a certain element of that time period that you look back on fondly? Just like, I guess maybe the blindness of the world of not being an adult and like everything else around you.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. Because you're in a big city and all you think of is like, hustle, right? Especially in the industry, especially if you're not white, right? You're just like, I gotta hustle for every opportunity, and I very much appreciate that life that I was provided, even though we didn't have the latest toys or whatever it is, but the things we did have, we appreciated. We had each other, we had time, and that's kind of all you need at some point,
I feel you. All right, so let's get into school years, and now we're opening up ourselves and learning about the world and everything else in it. Take me into school years as you get into school, and now I would say now more so assimilating into American culture, because that's what we're learning. We're learning their history. We're learning U.S. history. What was that like? And maybe just, I'm sure very Filipino life, but then we go to the States and we're becoming colonized, if you will. Tell me about school and how that was growing up, and maybe some of your favorite subjects and stuff, what you're into.
Yeah. So in school, I remember early on, I was very quiet as a student, like from first grade to I'd say about till I graduated high school. I was a quiet kid. I just went in and I did my work, and I think that's a product of how I was raised. I was always taught like, don't. I mean, if we're to translate it to now, like the vernacular we use now, it's like, oh, can I cuss here? Should I not cuss?
Yeah, it's all good.
I'm gonna not cuss. Okay. If we're talking about like, it's like, fuck them haters, just put your head down and grind. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's always been my lifestyle instilled by my parents, where it's like, it doesn't matter what they say, you're gonna be the best because that's how they're gonna notice you. So in terms of schoolwork, I was like the kid that didn't say anything and just killed every exam, all the grades, but like I never liked the attention. You get awarded things and like, just give me the paper, whatever. It's like not a big deal to me because I have to do the next thing. You know what I mean? And socially, I was cool because it was good. I grew up in a town that had Filipinos in it, Carson. So I'm just like, yeah, some people look like me, some people don't. But I think Carson is so diverse where we didn't even have a lot of white kids. Like the white kids, there's like 2 of them in our class. And then it was like Filipinos, Mexicans, Black kids, and Samoans. That was Carson in the 90s. And, it's just, I had a normal childhood in terms of that. And if you like history, I didn't really notice the lack of representation in the history lessons because after school or like during recess, there are all these people that look like me. I'm just like, oh, this is what life is, and this is what school is.
Yeah.
School, you just learn about this dumb stuff, and then you go and experience life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You play, you talk, you converse, you like figure out what girls are, you figure, those dynamics,
Yeah.
right? And that's what it was like in Carson in the 90s, man. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get to more of that convo in a little bit, like culturally.
For sure.
So what were you into? What were some of your hobbies? What were some of your favorite pastimes
Dude,
during this time period in school?
Street Fighter all day.
So you're a
Street
gamer?
Fighter all day, bro.
Okay.
Yeah. I still am. I still try and be, but Street Fighter, I went home and I just like played Street Fighter till my hands hurt, bro. And like Super Nintendo, that was the system growing up. So Super Nintendo, Power Rangers, and just like being a kid, man,
I love it.
But those were the major things. I didn't really get exposure to like art until like I was older.
Okay.
So it was just video games and TV,
You know what you wanted to do back then at that time?
Yeah.
What's the earliest thing you wanted to become back then?
Right. So this is wild. It happened in reverse for me because usually kids want to be magicians and like astronauts and stuff when they're old or when they're older, right? And then they end up being like a lawyer and a doctor or whatever. So when I was younger, my 2 career not options, but what I aspired to be was either a priest or a doctor. Those are my 2 things.
Wow. So you were heavily influenced by your family because that's what they push us into.
Yeah, for sure. But but here's the thing too. I remember wanting to do it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I don't know if it was obviously it was influenced by my family, but I took interest in those fields just because like this idea of like healing a broken world was just so amazing.
That's dope.
Because I wanted to save the world when I was a kid. You're influenced by like Power Rangers and superheroes, right? And I thought, oh, this is the real world equivalency to being a Power Ranger, right? You save people and you heal people. So that was my like kind of thing there. But yeah.
I love that. Respect on that. Real talk. Mad respect on that. That's super dope. All right. So also during this time, we're learning about ourselves. Like you said, there weren't very many white people there, mainly other Filipinos, Hispanics. African American.
Yeah.
Culturally, what was it like, with your parents coming over from the Philippines, learning about yourself? When did you realize I'm Filipino, and everything that entailed, food wise? And then when people come over and they're like, "What's that smell?" "Oh, brother, that's just patisse, man. What's that wooden fork and spoon, bro?" Like, tell me about that. Tell me about realization of who you are and what makes you so different.
Culturally, yeah. Cultural realization. I think didn't really cultural pride didn't hit me till college, because there were so many Filipinos around, and I lived in a primarily Filipino town. I still live here. In elementary school, middle school, high school, it was almost like bad to admit being Filipino. You know what I mean? There's so many around, and then you had the term back then. It's not correct at all by any means today, but the term was fob, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, if you admit to like Filipino shit, oh, you're a fob. You're the fobby kid. Like, don't be the fob. You know what I mean? So, although I did hang out with all Filipinos, we did primarily, we went to school, we did stuff what you would assume average American teenagers would do. You know what I mean? We hung out with each other. We went to go eat. We went to the mall. And it was almost a joke, or being Filipino. It was like, oh, dang, you, it's a balance of kind of making fun of it, but also being prideful, right? Because it's like, in high school, you would get debut practices and you'd be like, oh, there's all this food and it's Filipino food. And it's like, oh, is it hella fobby? But it's like really good still. So it's just like an unashamed version, but you're still aware of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I didn't really take pride into being Filipino until I got to college and started doing entertainment, because I've never been othered for my culture. You know what I mean? I grew up around my culture. So once I remember one time I felt bad about being Filipino as an adult. And it was amongst Asian people. So, I mean, they didn't berate me or anything like that, but it was like, these people are so prideful of being Asian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And why don't I have that? Oh, and then, connect the dots. My thing is, man, I kind of have a chip on my shoulder. Like, I get, in Tagalog, it's called picon. Like, one thing happens and I'm like, yo, I'm going to destroy this. You know what I mean? Like, never again.
Yeah.
So in my psyche, in my mental, processing, it's like, these people are so proud of being Asian. I'm going to make everyone see I'm Filipino. You know what I mean? Even in primarily Asian spaces, oh, are you Asian? No, I'm Filipino. You know what I mean? Like, whatever that means, this is who I am. And I need to make sure people know, right? And then you get older and you grow out of like being angry and stuff like that. So, you know what it is.
I love that, dude. Thanks for sharing all that. I appreciate that. That's where we're getting in there. We're getting in there.
For sure, man.
All right. So, high school, we're going to go from high school to college. As we kind of talked about earlier, which you kind of led into, it was, how it different for you, how it became what you became. But what was your desire when you graduated, where you wanted to go, leading into, where we'd go for college? What did you aspire at that time to become? Again, we kind of said it a second ago, a little bit earlier, but maybe it changed at that point of graduation and choosing a major. And also, I'm sorry, I'm throwing some other stuff into the mix. So, like, what did you want to do as you pick your school? But then, sometimes we get that parental influence, and they want you to go this way because they want you to major in this. Take me to that point of life and in your journey, and where you would go, and then we'll get into college.
For sure. So right around, senior year graduation, everyone's applying for colleges. They're getting in, they're getting rejected, whatever. Everyone in my friend group, probably like 50%, of my friend group, for sure, all the dudes in my friend group, their plan was to go be a nurse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the thing. That was the thing out here. It's like, I'm gonna graduate high school, I'm gonna go do nursing, and then I'm gonna pass the boards and get a steady job and have some kids. You know what I mean? And that's kind of and I understand that because, you know, you're pressured by your parents. But the thing is, they're operating from, I've seen this work over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So if it works for everyone, it should work for my child. You know what I mean? And it's just this like muscle memory of like, oh, just be a nurse and then be successful and just make money. So all my friends were on track for nursing school. And my whole thing was, oh, you guys are going to be nurses? I'm going to be a doctor. You know what I mean? You guys are going to work for me, right? And so I was pre-med in college. And then, you know, stuff happened. And then that's when this world of like magic and like other stuff came into my life. And so that kind of derailed my process of pre-med. And then I ended up not graduating from the first school I went to. And I did nursing for a semester. And this was like, for sure, to appease my mother, right? So it's like, listen, I'll do nursing, but if I don't like it, I'm out. And the deal was, that's okay, as long as I don't just throw the year away, you know? And that was the only time in my college career I got straight A's. I got straight A's in like all the nursing courses. I'm like, I don't like it. I'm done. Like, I'm good. And so I ended up,
what was the catalyst?
I did end up what was that?
What was the catalyst? Like what really hit that changed the momentum? Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, it was magic. Honestly, I found magic when I was in college, and that's why I didn't finish pre-med.
So how did you discover it? Let me take me to that, because I'm curious what like blew your mind. I want to know that.
For sure. Yeah. So this is how I got into magic. I had a friend who was doing magic at the time, and he was like really into it, and like he was good. And I think that's why I went so hard. Excuse me. So I was in college, and we were playing poker at the time. That's when the poker boom happened, right?
Okay.
And in order to pay for school, I was playing poker online professionally.
Oh wow.
Right. Yeah. So I treated it as a job. I would hit 8 hours. I would go to class. I would study, and then I would play online. And then after that, after everything was done, I would go to home games at night. And this is me and my buddy, 18 years old, going to home games with like 30, 40-year-old dudes. And it's like it was super dangerous. Like people were betting shoes and laptops. And I'm like, oh, I don't think this life is very good right now. You know what I mean? So we stuck to online, and then online became illegal because in California, they couldn't tax online gambling. And so they just made it illegal to gamble online. So I pulled all my money out. I told my friend to pull his money out before they froze it. And we were just hanging out. We're talking about like what happened to the poker boom. And he started showing me some stuff, and I asked him to teach me, and I got really into it. And it kind of snowballed to this thing where I was at a house party, and I was showing people a few tricks that I know. And one of the relatives booked me for a birthday party. And they're like, hey, just do like 30 minutes and we'll give you $100. And I'm like, this is more money than I've ever made at any other job other than poker. So I did it. Of course I was bad, but you know, the chip on my shoulder is like, dude, this could be a thing, like work on it. And I like, as I got deeper into studying and doing things like that, I just fell in love with it. And now I'm doing it professionally. So.
And you're like, fuck nursing, I'm doing this.
Dude, I didn't. Yeah, I finished school though. I got a degree in health science, like a project management, amongst like healthcare management. but I was like well into my magic career by then. You know what I mean? So I knew who I was, and it was just like this side thing where like magic was my life and school was like my side hustle, you know. And then I finished it off, and then now I do magic. You know what I mean?
All right.
So.
Well, we're gonna dig into that more. We're gonna do that.
Yeah.
More. I love it. I love it. So were there any inclinations where they're like, you know, because there's different types of magic too, and I see you've done a couple of different things from the YouTube and everything. Nothing magic before, so it was purely in college. Like, were you a David Blaine guy? I don't know. You know how that's kind of magic, or David Copperfield.
Yeah, so
you know,
David Blaine just came out. David Blaine just came out when I started magic.
Okay.
And I think that I studied his videos so far, and they don't teach you the tricks in his videos, but it's just me. Like whenever I'm eating, I'm just like watching and studying. But when I was a kid, I remember watching the World's Greatest Magic on TV, and that's something me and my Lola would do. And so that was like my only exposure to magic as a child. And I thought it was cool, but I never had the inclination to learn it. You know, I just thought, oh, this is TV. This is like another version of TV. And then, you know, in college where I got into performing arts and stuff, David Blaine, he was a big influence. And then back when I started magic, well, first of all, magic is very expensive. Like to learn it, like I remember buying a VHS tape, and I remember a VHS tape being like $60.
Yeah.
And $60 for a tape is wild. So I bought it, and I learned every trick on that tape. You know, this was before downloads and YouTube and stuff. I learned every trick on that tape, and that was like the basis for my repertoire for like a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then my kind of personality is I wanted to soak up as much as I could about this new thing. Yeah. So I studied kind of everything. I studied close-up. I studied stage magic. You know, there's a level in between called parlor magic.
Yeah.
Cards, coins, everything. I just like wanted, if it was magic related, I wanted to get my hands on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And from there, you know, you just pick and choose what you like, right? The Bruce Lee theory, Jeet Kune Do, right? You just pick what you like.
I feel that. Yeah, and real talk on it being expensive. I remember I would visit Myrtle Beach with my parents.
Yeah, bro.
There's like this magic shop on the boardwalk, and I'm like, I want this, I want that. And it'd be so expensive. Like you said, it'd be VHS tapes because I'm an old head as well. And, you know, and you'd have to learn it and like, you know, and just for different aspects of magic. And I'd probably, you know, it would have probably ended up being like, you know, $240 for like the 3 or 4 different ones I wanted, you know, and they're like, hell no, we're not getting that. So I didn't leave with any cool magic stuff.
That's real.
But that's awesome. Okay, so we're in college. You found your love, but also you kind of stated earlier that's when you started finding pride in your Filipino-ness. Why in school? Tell me about again the Filipino Awakening, if you will.
Yeah. When I was in college, I went to Cal State Fullerton. So there's a bunch of, it's in the OC in California. And there's a bunch of Asians in the OC, right? But they were hardly Filipino. So it was like a lot of Chinese people, a lot of Vietnamese people. And those are the people I would hang out with. And this whole idea of them taking so much pride in who they were, right? They were speaking their language to people who understood it. And my whole thing is like, I started to feel whatever the cultural version of homesick is.
Do you speak
you know
Tagalog?
what I mean? Like I couldn't find, I can speak a little bit.
Okay.
But I understand it like fluently. Yeah. And this idea of, I want to be around my people so much because I got a taste of what it's like to not be around them. And I didn't want to feel like that anymore. You know, most of my whole life is just like strengthening this idea of I don't want to be around this feeling anymore. You know, all the bad shit that happens, like I never want this to happen to me ever again. Right. And so when I felt like that, and I got into artist spaces and open mics and stuff, everyone was so proud to be Asian. Everyone was so proud to, and then they would come up, they're like, hey, you're Filipino, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm Filipino. And it's not like I was lacking the cultural knowledge. It's the idea of I didn't tap into it as fast as I wanted to.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, where it's like, everyone's like, tell me about, your culture. And I'm like, oh, my family's cool. We're from Carson. It was like that version of where I'm from versus like, I'm Filipino and these are our values and this is what we believe in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was like my whole thing. And then now I try and I've not recently, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, just recently started tapping into and taking pride in who I am culturally. So
I love it, brother. All right, so we're graduating college. You got the medical, like you said, management, I think degree, right? Is what you said?
Yeah.
All right, so but we want to make it as a magician. We want to pursue our passion.
Dude.
So take me post college now. How do we make it? Do you get an agent? Do you get a manager? And was that the pursuit, or was it something else to? Was it just kind of a hobby? How were you making ends meet? Because it's difficult. Tell me about some successes
sure.
and some struggles. Get me into this time period leading up to now.
So the usual path for a magician in LA, Asian or not, Filipino or not, is you go through the Magic Castle, right? That's the spot. That's where all the magicians hang out. I have always wanted to carve my own way. I was a member of the castle for a while, and then I started recognizing patterns of like, everyone here is doing the same act. Everyone here is the same guy. It's either a white guy version of this act or a black dude version of this act. It's all the same. And that's when I realized, I gotta leave. Like, I can't be here anymore. Like, I can't hang out here because I never wanted to be like everyone else, because I'm not like everyone else. I'm brown. I'm brown as look, and so this idea of carving my own way in an industry that doesn't allow me to very easily is always intrigued me, right? Because I think the way my mind works, I always think everything's a game. I grew up being a gamer, so it's like and also my degree is in healthcare management, like project management. Everything's a game, right? So you have these resources and you have a goal. What can you do with these resources to achieve this goal? And that's how my brain works. So, that's where you get really creative with what you can do. You know what I mean? So, I never really wanted to take the castle route. I know a lot of my friends have done that. A lot of my magic friends. So I started an open mics. You know what I mean? Because I had this idea. I had this theory of like, if I'm not going to be like everyone else, I have to go where none of these people are. And no magicians did open mics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And in doing open mics, I learned like, hey, I can learn bits and pieces from all these other art forms and apply it to magic. You know what I mean? And vice versa. All these other art forms can learn a lot from magic. Yeah. So even if it's like not what to do or what not to do, right? I would go to these open mics and I would see these poets and they would explain their piece, or they would just, hey, I just wrote this morning. And I'm like, oh, this is what not to do. This is never do this. Like, why would you need to introduce what you're going to do when you can just do it? You know what I mean? The beauty of brevity is like one of my main values also. But also I really enjoyed how a poet can create a universe and make you feel something with just an idea, right? They're placing ideas in your brain and you're empathizing with these ideas, and that's what makes you feel stuff. So if they can do that, why can't I do that with magic? You know what I mean? And so now I've started to write these like storytelling pieces of magic. And now the trick is just used to illustrate my point. It's just a song, it's just a version of a song, right?
Yeah.
And because if you think a magic trick is a song, then anything a song can do, or anything you can do with a song, you can do with a magic trick. And that's how I wrote my first, I'm not going to call it a magical, that's a stupid name, but I wrote a story.
Wow.
And it was a stage show, but I wrote it like a musical.
Yeah.
But instead of music pieces, I put in magic tricks. Right. And that was like one of my first bigger projects. And that's, just using that kind of thinking is like, now I'm not like everyone else. Like all those other magicians are like not like me. And now I can be different, but proud of the difference. Like however, I'm othering myself, but I'm actually proud of it now.
That's so dope, dude. I love that. I love that. All right. So DreMagix, man, you figured yourself out. And so tell me about making this happen. You found that, but you still got to put foot on the table. Tell me about now just building that up and maybe, was it all high from the jump, or tell me about some of just these struggles, getting management or getting people, or you're paving your lane. You're doing that, tell me that.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. The hardest part about the industry is booking work. You know what I mean? And what happened was I started doing, where did I start? This was long ago. This was like 15 years ago, man. I started doing open mics, right? And this was just to build my chops, so you get good, and I still was not very good. I didn't know how to speak in front of people. I fumbled through tricks. And this whole idea was I wasn't getting enough stage time. And what I did was I found places where I could perform for free. And through those shows, people started to, roll in and ask me what my rates were. And once they did that, that's when I started booking paid work. But I always tried to lead with proof of concept, right? Like, this is how good I am. If you want to book me, I'm going to make it so you can't refuse my price point. You know what I mean? Because if you go looking for a gig, then you have to negotiate, right? Yeah. But if they come to you, they want you already. And that was the whole idea. And there were times where it was tough. So I started doing street magic. And what people think street magic is David Blaine style. That's not street magic. Street magic is like busking, right? So what I did was I went to Santa Monica. I had my little setup. I had this table.
Yeah.
And I was performing a 10-minute show for tips, right? And I learned how to do street magic from like one of the best street magicians in the world. And this guy, he was making, till this day, he still does it. And he makes
shout him out. Give him love. Give him love. Shout him out.
Yo, I learned from a tape that he put out, and later I met him in life. And I had lunch with him. It was really cool. But shout out to Cosmo. He's one of the greatest street magicians in the world, greatest street magician in the United States for sure. But I remember on his tape saying he makes $3,000 a day, and I'm like, $3K a day, I want that. So what I did was I learned all the street magic stuff. Like, there's little tricks you use to get people to put money in your hat and all these other things. So I got really good at that. I did street magic for 4 hours a day for the whole weekend, every weekend for a year, right? And it's the same 10-minute show. If you think about it, you do the same 10-minute show 10,000 times, you're going to be amazing at that show.
Yeah.
You know where all the lines go, you know where all the beats hit, everything like that. And that's what made me, that's probably the most money I've made over a period of time doing street magic. And then I started to book corporate work and college work, and now I don't have to work as hard. But I always have that fallback. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a good time. That's I've always believed that, and I got this advice early when starting Magic too. Magic's really cool because you get to meet a lot of the big heads in Magic, right? Because the community is very small. So at one point, I met this magician I looked up to. His name is Eric Jones. Shout out to Eric Jones. But I remember him saying, "You have to figure out how to make money with this, and you owe it to yourself and to your family to figure that out."
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. I really took that to heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's fine. The love of the art is amazing. Do that. That's what drives you. But you can't eat passion. You know what I mean? You can't wear passion. You can't put that on your back.
I love it.
So
would you say the most important thing that really helped you and that career was doing that street magic, learning that 10-minute set 10,000 times you were doing it a year, right? To build that, then just kind of carried you through everything else?
I would say that street magic, like busking and my years on the street, it did a few things for me. Number one, it got me to approach magic like a job. Like, yeah, it's a career, but this is a job. You got to go or you don't make money.
Yeah.
Another reason is it allowed me to find my voice and it allowed me to deal with a lot of different people, and through that, I found what style of humor I like, what style of connections I can make, street magic also. Here's the thing. I would go do street magic. I used to work in a trio, right? And we would all go and do the street. And then we would get booked for colleges and stuff like that. So we would have both sides. And they're doing great things now. And I'm still good friends with them. They're doing castle stuff. Hell yeah. But we would always go and we would do our sets on different sides of the street, right? They would be on this block and I would be on this block. And after our 2 hours is up, we would switch. And that's how we would make money, right? And there's three of us. And I remember our tradition after every night, we would go to like some dinky diner, like a Denny's or a Norm's or whatever it is. Those are the only places open when we get out. And we would count all our money in our hat. So we would have all our cash in a hat.
Yeah.
And we would just be like, how much did you? Oh, 300? Okay, 300. All right. Oh, I made like 350 today. And then we would pay for our meals with that money. And it was like this idea of, this meal you worked hard for. You know what I mean? This is what got you here. So you can't take that for granted ever. Right? You still got to wake up the next day and go back because eventually this money is going to run out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, but on the flip note, when we used to do this university in Denver every 3 years, right? And there's this moment where same two other guys, we were looking at like the Denver mountains, right? And we were just like sitting there and we were done with rehearsals. We're waiting for our show. And we're like, dude, we got paid this money, but like also card tricks got us this.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah. And so it's this whole idea of like, take nothing for granted, the small or the big. Every opportunity is only that, an opportunity. You still have to show up and show out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this idea of, and I think this comes from being Filipino and my upbringing is like, we're never handed anything in this country. Like, that's not how it works for us. So being good, being amazing, and being a master at what you do, that has to be baseline. Like, you can't do shit unless you're the best. And then once you're that, then you can start making moves. You know what I mean? But like, until you're at a point where you can do it in your sleep, 10,000 shows, you got to go work on that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's, I get advice, or I get asked what advice is for like young artists. And I'm like, just do the work, man.
Put in the
Just
work.
do the
Yeah.
work. It'll be fine. Just do the work.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So while you were doing that, was this your full-time gig? Were you
This
doing
was my
other stuff
full-time
to
gig.
help facilitate it at that time?
No, dude. I was doing this, and yeah, when I was doing DreMagix, that was all I was doing.
Wow.
I took the rest of the week to rest and like work out and like
Okay.
maintain myself, and like, you know, also when you're performing, that's only 10% of what being an artist is, right? Like the other 90 is like you got to create the thing, right? And you're constantly creating new stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, there are comedians out there that ride the same hour for the rest of their life. I never want to be that guy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because I'll get bored. I'll get bored of material. I mean, I've recently gotten bored with some stuff, and I'm just like, I need new stuff. Like I gotta get back to the books, you know.
Yeah.
So most of the time is creating, and then
Most definitely.
getting it to a point where you can put it in front of people.
Most
No.
definitely. I feel you, brother. All right. So with that being said, what were your Filipino parents thinking about all of that? Because you know, you know,
Yeah.
when are you
for
gonna get
sure.
back into utilizing that nursing degree? I'm sure.
Yeah,
When are
yeah.
you gonna do this? Tell me what that was like.
You know what? It was this idea of they did hound me on it until I stopped asking them for money. That was it. Like once I like, you know, my parents they would care. I mean, they still care about me, but they'd always ask, "Hey, do you have enough money for this? Do you have enough?" And you know, I would be like, "Oh no, if you can spot me a couple bucks, whatever it is." The day I stopped asking, once they started noticing I didn't ask them for money anymore, that was like, "Oh, he'll be okay. He's like, he'll figure it out." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think one of the pivotal moments of my magic career was, you know, you're an artist in the Filipino family. You're asked to perform for your family all the time, and you're
Yeah.
never asked, you know. And so I was asked to do like a birthday thing, and you know, my mom was like, "Hey, your aunties are asking if you can do a show for your birthday," and I was like, "Oh, is it paid?" And they're like, "No." And my dad, he jumps in, and this is like, this meant so much to me. My dad goes, "He's not gonna do it because they can't afford our son."
Woo-hoo!
And after that, I'm just like, "Oh, they get it," you know.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Nah, kind of tears coming through. I can feel that. I can feel.
Oh, for sure, man.
I'm an empath, bro. I feel that in
Dude,
every way.
every time I talk about that, I tear up, dude. It's like
Yeah.
it was a very awakening moment in my career where it's like this idea of understanding, like, oh, they get it now.
Yeah.
You know, so
Totally. All right. So yeah, you started you know, you did the street game and then you started getting corporate gigs. Take me from now that corporate to now, man. And obviously
Dude.
like you linked up with so many people and you found this whole other niche of doing like these shows. Tell me about linking up with my man Eric Esteban, who brought you and I together, and my good pal and our mutual friend in Ariana Bosco with Palms Up Academy. Tell me about, you know, build me from there to now and what my man is doing.
Yeah. So you know, when I was going through the open mic spaces in LA, I started here in Carson, and then you know, after the street game, I was still doing it simultaneously, but I realized, hey, I gotta break out somehow. Like people need to know who I am. And this is after I felt like, yo, I'm good at what I do. You know, it's like the 3 tricks that I have. I mean, I have other stuff, but I'm a master at these 3 things because I've done it so many times. So I take it to LA, and I do this open mic, and the feature is Ariana, right? And she's like, hey, we're starting this space. You should come through. So I come through, and I've noticed this space has a bunch, it's like primarily Asian American, right? But they're like killers in this space. You know, I'm like, yo, these people are so good. And my whole thing is, and like I said, chip on the, I'm like, I need to be the best in this room. And I'm not going to leave until I'm the best in this room.
Go ahead.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I go up, I do my strongest thing. And, you know, they've never seen magic live before. No one ever sees magic live on that often. And you know, people start talking to me, and I'm like, yeah, cool. And there's this whole idea of I don't like giving false compliments. It's just it's not a service to anyone.
Yeah.
You know how they're like, oh, you're so good. I'm like, oh, you're so good too. I don't do any of that. But I will, you know, I'll give people their flowers if I feel like I am compelled to, right? So there are people I'm like, yo, this poem hit me in this way, right? Or whatever it is. But people would come up and they're like, hey, you know, you're really good. And I'm like, thanks. I worked really hard at it. And that was my whole thing. Like just appreciating what I've done. You know, I'm like, thank you. I've grinded so hard on this like 2 minutes of magic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I found that we went to that space, and then eventually that space kind of broke and went their separate ways. And, you know, at this point, I'm really good friends with Ariana. She's been a mentor figure. She's a good friend. And we like hang, we play poker together. Like it's a family deal, right? And we're talking, and she's like, I got to figure out what to do. And I'm like, why don't you start an open mic? Like that's always the play, you know? So she starts one. I help her with like branding at the jump of it, and which turned into Palms Up Academy. And we've gone through a lot of iterations and picked up so many people to join our team and our family. And it's still going. It's still going strong. You know, the open mic happens every Wednesday. A lot of us have gone on to do like other things and done other projects. She has her movie that just came out. She's working on a new movie as we speak. Like she's on set right now. And then with Eric, I think I met Eric through another friend of mine whose name is also Eric Escobar.
Okay.
He's another Filipino comedian. And you know, we see each other in the same spaces. We get booked on the same shows. He's booked me for work a few times. So shout out to Eric Esteban for that. And then I've booked him on some stuff. So it's kind of this idea of, you know, white Hollywood, they always squad up, right? You know, the comedy groups, right? Like, was it Adam Sandler has his squad, and then like Seth Rogen has his people. So why can't us as Filipinos, you know what I mean? Like, if I can give the opportunity for work, I'm going to give it to my friends because I know they're good. I know they're not going to fuck with me. I know they're not going to mess with my money. Yeah. You know, these are the people that when I make it, that's who I'm throwing the rope down to, you know, and we've done that. We've done that countless times. And so, you know, that's how we've been booking work out here. Recent projects, I've partnered up with, there's this app in the Philippines. It's the #1 social app in the Philippines.
Oh yeah. I was going to ask you about that. That was going to be my next one.
For sure. Do you want me to wait, or do you want me to?
No. Go ahead. That's where we're at now. Kumu. Shout out to Kumu.
For sure. Shout out to Kumu. Yo, so I linked up with Kumu. I do a lot of work with them. I run 4 shows on their app right now. And so they've helped me a lot in growing my kind of fan base on Kumu, but also they're providing a lot of help for other projects, right? And they're always very supportive. So right now, what I'm currently doing, other than the Kumu thing, I linked up with 3 other magicians. I usually don't mess with magicians, but I found 3 that I really like, and they're all Filipino. Bro.
Hey!
So I found the only 3 other Filipino magicians in California.
I love it.
And we're going on tour.
Oh, snap!
So, yeah, it's a big project. It's called the Magicaro Project. We're planning a tour for the end of this year and early next year. So right when Filipino American History Month starts,
dope,
till like the end of January, I believe.
Okay.
And so right now what we're gonna do is we need to raise funds. We partnered up with a nonprofit called the DeMillo Foundation.
Okay.
And their goal is they're our fiscal sponsor. So their goal is to promote variety arts amongst Filipino Americans and Filipinos, right? You know, it's an organization for us Filipinos who can't sing or dance. You know what I mean? Like who want to do other shit. So they're a fiscal sponsor, and in March we are filming our crowdfunding video to help raise funds for that.
Okay.
And in April is our crowdfund party and our soft open for our show. So if you're ever in the States, man, come through, hit me up. We got you. We'll take care of you. But the party will also be live streamed on Kumu, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna document everything. So it's gonna go on YouTube, the whole process of the tour, the whole actually touring, because I think this is our version of representing. You know, representation is dope, but you know, I've never had variety arts representation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I've seen, you know, Rufio's been in movies and TV, and then like Joko and like all these guys.
Yeah.
But now it's like I've never had a magician to look up to.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so to be able to provide that for, I don't know, the 8-year-old kid who can't sing or dance at a Filipino party.
Yeah.
And he sees this YouTube video of like these guys that look like his kuyas, and they're successful and they're doing what they love. It gives, you know, all representation is it gives them permission to achieve what they want. And, you know, I'm blessed enough to be able to try and provide that. Like it's my life is good. Like, you know what I mean? I'm on the ShoPowSho.
Hey,
like,
yo, Dre,
life is good, bro.
Dude, Dre, I absolutely adore that. That's so beautiful. I just want to know, you coming out here to the East Coast where I'm at. Where's this? Is this tour just West Coast? Where's it all going?
Yo, so the first leg is West Coast. Once we get the funds, we're gonna make it off to the East Coast. So the first leg
I'll put you in touch with people around here. We'll take care of you.
If you can get us a space, we'll bring it there for sure.
Hell yeah. Ain't nothing but a thing. Ain't nothing but a thing. So stay tuned, y'all. We gonna get Dre to the East Coast.
Dang.
We gonna get you here.
The first leg of our tour, we're doing the left side, right? So it's San Diego, LA, Bay Area, Seattle, Portland.
Nice.
Right. Once we get the funds for that, we're going to the East, where it's I want to hit Chicago and New York. Where are you at right now?
DC area. DC
area.
I'm
down, dude.
And we got a Filipino population here. We got to take you down to Virginia Beach because we run Virginia Beach. So
dude,
like
Esteban's been doing Virginia Beach
exactly.
a lot.
I was actually going to talk to you about maybe offline because he's holding it down. I'm actually going to see him as of this recording in like a week or two. I think he's coming up here. So yeah, bro, we gonna make that happen. We gonna make that.
Yeah.
Happen.
So we want to do now. We add in DC and Virginia Beach.
Okay.
But then we want to do New York and Chicago.
Yes.
So that's that side, and then eventually it's gonna make its way to Hawaii.
Ooh.
And,
yeah.
Eventually, we're going back home to the Philippines.
I love it. That's absolutely beautiful, man.
Yeah, because all four of us magicians, we all do different styles of magic, right? So shout out to the Magicaros. It's me. I'm the storyteller, so I do a lot of storytelling magic. Mike Martinez is the mentalist, so he does mind reading.
Okay.
We have Jonathan Molo, who is the man in the purple suit. He's like our hype man. He's our host. He does like the party style magic. And then Chris Herron as Faust is from the Bay Area, but he's actually a mime. So he does mime with magic. Yeah. So it's different styles and it's a lot of different looks, right? So we're basically building the magic Filipino version of the X-Men, bro. That's all I'm trying to do.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
I love it.
I'm just trying to be the X-Men out here. But
dude, you took my heart when you said, you know, because it's real talk. You know, I am one of those Filipinos that were dancing and singing, but a lot of my friends weren't just into that. There are other sports cats, you know, but then we're also not tall enough. We're short, but we still try. But you know what I'm saying? We got to have representation everywhere. And this is so important and it's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to do nothing but my full-fledged support whenever this comes through. And I need to have you back to come talk about it and just bring it to the people, man. We're going to make these connections happen, man. I love it. Absolutely beautiful, man.
Yeah,
I love
bro.
it. I love it. I love it. All right, man. So let's close this out because we're actually a little bit over an hour. So I appreciate you taking the time again to talk to me about this and show you love. So with this, be kind of like ultimately what you want to see happen? Well, you're going to make this happen, and I'm going to help you make this happen. What else do you want to see and bring into the world? What are other some aspirations and dreams that you're trying to do? It's written on your shirt. You got dream across your chest. Tell me about these dreams, brother.
Shout out. Shout out to Dream On from the Bay Area. So we're doing the Magicaro Project, and this tour is going to run towards the end of the year, but we wanted to make it, over a span of 5 years, right? So every year for 5 years, we go on this tour of like left side, right side, Philippines, Hawaii. And we want to make that, just like half the year we tour, and then half the year we come home and, create other stuff. My main project for myself, like life goal, right, is I want to start a version of the Magic Castle in the Philippines. Because in Magic right now, a lot of Asian countries are doing well in Magic. They got the Koreans killing it, the Japanese people are killing it. But, through Kumu, I've met a lot of Filipino magicians, and I see a lot of holes in the industry over there, and the blockades and the gatekeeping of how to break out and make this a valid career option. So I want to provide that, as well as like a cool space for people to come watch Magic and appreciate it, and food's always going to be there, bars. So I want to create a space where they can get all of that in the Philippines. And I think that's my version of like giving back, because all of the Magiceros in the project, we've all lectured in the Philippines. And it's this idea, we've met so many talented people. It's just tweaking little things that can make them great, right? It's like, your act is amazing, just change what you're wearing, because you look like every other magician in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Right. And what people don't know, this is a little off topic, but kind of on topic. There's one college in the United States where you can get a degree in magic.
Okay.
And it's called the Chavez School of Magic. Was started by a Filipino dude.
What?
Yeah.
Yo.
So Benny Chavez, he moved out here from the Philippines, and he started the only college of magic where you can get a bachelor's and a master's.
So let me find
in the art
out.
of magic.
I'm talking to a Filipino magician, and we had a Filipino magician start a school that you can graduate.
Bro,
what is up with this world? I love this.
Yeah. And I like very much identify, because our last names are very similar, right? It was like Chavez and Chavez. Like it's very, so I'm wondering if there's like a connection there. It's hard to find information on them though. Like there's,
interesting.
One day we're going to migrate out to school and like figure out the history, but like, how full circle would it be for like a Filipino guy to come to the States and start a thing and inspire this Filipino kid from Carson who goes back to the Philippines and does it there? You know what I mean? So life goals, you know what I mean? Give me like 10 years. It'll happen.
Go ahead. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh man, I'm so inspired by this conversation, man. And you're making me smile from ear to ear. This is beautiful. Wishing you nothing but the best in this and your dreams and your goals. And like, I want to see this happen. And if there's ways I can help facilitate it, I'm definitely going to do that, man. So definitely you got the love from the ShoPowSho fam.
I appreciate it, man.
Most def, man. Welcome to the ShoPowSho fam. To close this out, man. And again, this is only the first time. You're going to be back again, because again, I want to have you back. I want to give love and light as you build on this and as you continue with these goals and dreams. Before we do that, though, before your next time when we say hello again, we love to leave it because your ShoPowSho is part of my Nerds Rule the World pop culture channel. And you kind of said it earlier. You're a nerd too. You're a gamer. To close this out with our nerd question, what would you say is something nerdy about that we haven't discussed yet that you could give a nerd TED Talk on?
Dude, I am big on gaming, but a specific game. It's called Arena of Valor. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of this game, but it's a MOBA. It's basically League of Legends, but it's on it's mobile,
Okay.
right? It's on your phone. And so it's like 5v5. I play every day. I play this game, right? And like with my main character for like a week, I was the top ranked in California with my main.
Get
Like that's
outta
how much I
here.
play this game, bro. So yo, Arena Valley, shout out to all you mobile fans. But also I'm a big martial arts nerd, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've studied martial arts since I was 13.
Okay.
Yeah, I've studied Taekwondo since I was 13. I'm a fifth degree black belt, which I don't like to advertise very much. But recently, my grandmaster, he gave me a call and he said he wanted to leave me the school. So I like inherited this legacy all of a sudden. So we're gonna be opening up a school soon. Oh yeah.
Bro, go. Bro. Yo, I love it. I love it. That's wild. This is cool. I would never thought that's cool, man. Yeah. Did you get into Eskrima at all? With a bit roots.
Oh yeah.
Culture
So
and FMA.
For sure. What I did Taekwondo for, basically my whole life. And then in college, I started learning Arnis, Eskrima, Kali, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Along with, my childhood hero is Bruce Lee. So he studied all that stuff. And then I studied, the Chinese martial arts and just, again, anything I could get my hands on. And right now we have a self-defense seminar that's rooted in FMA. So if you guys are interested in that, hit me up. Self-defense. It's a very real world self-defense seminar. It's all the things that are wrong with what people think self-defense is.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the best self-defense is like just bring more people, dog. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like ideas of like real life applications of how to stay safe and keep your loved ones safe.
I love it. Man, this has been an amazing conversation, brother. And I can't thank you enough for giving me your time. So in regards to connecting with you, for those people that might be watching this, listening to this, because we have a lot of people that check out the show and listening to it as they're driving. For those audio listeners that are checking this out, I also have this in the description below, y'all. For those that are watching it, why don't we hit them up with the socials, ways they can connect you with you online, give you all the love, give you the follows, subscribes, all of that. For
sure. Yeah. What's a show without plugging yourself at the end, right? You can find me on Instagram at the DreMagix, TheDreMagix. I'm the same on Twitter and also on Kumu. If you want to get in direct contact, it's usually Instagram or Kumu. We do a lot of work there, and happy to hear from you.
Hell yeah! I just also peeped at Magic's Merienda on YouTube.
Yeah, so that's one of the shows we run live on Kumu.
Oh, okay.
And I post clips on YouTube, right? So
got you. Okay.
Magic's Merienda is my show. It's a late night show. It's like picture Jimmy Fallon, right? Interview, guest, games, news and monologue, all that stuff. We run it live on Kumu on Sundays at 9:30 p.m. If you're in the Philippines, it's Mondays at 1:30 p.m. That's why it's called Merienda, right?
I love it.
Yeah, and all the clips go up on YouTube and Facebook and probably Instagram. Well, social media. You just got to keep posting stuff.
Yeah, you got to put it all out there, man. I love it. Yeah. It's still a hustle. You still got to get
for sure
the word out, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
DreMagix, truly a pleasure. Thank you for your time. Y'all,
thank you so much.
The love. Give them all the subscribes, and let's get this Magicaros running. I want to see it everywhere. I need it here on the Beast Coast, the East Coast. I love this. Salamat po, brother, for your time.
Salamat, bro.
Let's definitely have you come back through, y'all. Follow my man. For me, it's the Legend Kuya P on Twitter, TikTok, and IG. Of course, ShoPowSho, and at the NRW and at Release Wednesday, where nerds rule the world. Until our next ShoPowSho. We got DreMagix and your boy Kuya P.
The
We'll see y'all next time.
Adobro and Megatron.
Oh yeah, the Dobro and the Megatron. I love it. Yes, we gotta have food. When you come back there, we're gonna get some food and we're gonna get down
all day.
All day. There we go, y'all. We
All
love
right,
y'all.
bro. Thanks so
Mahakita.
much.
Salamat. There we go.
Yo, what's up, everyone? It's your favorite neighborhood Magicaro, DreMagix. Make sure you catch me on the ShoPowSho with Kuya P. We talk about my life. We talk about loves. Probably not that. But we talk about my career in magic and representation. And I think it matters, just like you. See you there. So what does my Filipino heritage mean to me? I think for myself, it means honoring your past, your present, and your future. Your past, you have to honor where you come from because that's who you turned into. That's what helped shape who you are. And for myself, I believe I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, and they only did that so I could jump even further. And I'd love paying homage to, where I came from, where I grew up, being Filipino and in magic. There's some greats who aren't Filipino, but the people that helped me pave the way for what I am now. Being Filipino now is just representing who you are, living your life, being able to express yourself in a way that's so unapologetic because you should be able to take space in the world. You have a story and everyone's story has value, and also we have this duty, right? Being Filipino, you have this duty for the future. Now, the people from the past let you stand on their shoulders. You have to hike up the future and put them on yours so they can make it even further in this world, right? Being Filipino in the States, you're in this world and the rules don't apply to us. They're not in your favor. You know what I mean? So you have to find a way to create a system to make the future even brighter for the later generations. And I think all those three things working in harmony, that is what being Filipino means to me. It might mean different for some other people, but I think those are the main tenets of what our culture stands for. So thanks.